look, it is tough out there, man. It is freaking tough out there. And if I can't sit here and have a great uplifting conversation with myself when I'm failing, when I'm winning, when I'm ego checking, when I'm, time blocking, figuring out my schedules, planning things, resetting my goals. If I can't sit here and have that, girl, you can do this. You got this. It's okay. If I can't be kind to myself, then I promise you this, there is no future.
This is the Impossible Podcast, an exploration of stories that broke convention, set new standards, smashed glass ceilings, and redefined the notion of what's possible.
Hello, everyone. I am Ashley Miles, founder and CEO of Franklyn West, and a proud girl mom, business game changer, builder and scaler of top consumer media and entertainment companies. And please meet my amazing co-host and dear friend, Megan Rokosh.
Hi, everyone. Megan Rokosh here. I'm the Global Chief Marketing Officer of Havas Health and You. I'm an active ally and advocate, and I'm your co-host for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome to Impossible, a podcast where we give you a seat at the table to uncover and learn from the incredible, raw stories of people who have made the impossible possible.
We've got professional athletes, world-renowned DJs, musicians, artists, movers and shakers in business. We are constantly scouring the world and our networks for the most uplifting, real, raw stories to share with you. And we're so excited that you joined us today.
And I'm excited to introduce you to today's guest, Ashley Longshore, a dear friend of mine for many, many years, a true soul sister. And what an honor it is to have Ashley today on the Impossible Podcast. Ashley is born in Alabama, based in New Orleans, and is a mixed media artist, often compared to Andy Warhol, known for her energetic, brash, and colorful works that are often as profound as they are playful. Ashley creates eclectic pieces that celebrates contemporary pop culture, feminism, fashion, and American consumerism. Longshore's art has been exhibited across America and Europe. It's been featured in publications such as Vogue, Elle, Forbes. Her most popular works include her larger-than-life portraits of fashion icons such as Kate Moss, Anna Wintour, and Audrey Hepburn, as well as her trophy series, a collection of pieces exploring the theme of money and power, and her labeled series, an assortment of vibrant poster-style works featuring fun and irreverent messaging. Recently, Longshore has become known for her partnerships with some of the biggest names in the world of fashion and luxury goods, including Bergdorf Goodman, Gucci, Maybelline, Judith Leiber, Veuve Clicquot, and Diane von Furstenberg, and was also a guest on Project Runway, a guest judge on Project Runway. In fun news, her celebrity collectors are Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Penelope Cruz, Salma Hayek, Princess Oprah, Kelly Ripa, Tommy Hilfiger, Katherine Heigl, Eli Manning, among many others. So Ashley, welcome. Hello.
I am so happy to be here. And you know what? It's so funny to hear all the celebrity collectors rattled off, because I am proud that I worked hard enough to get to a realm to get to interact with those people. But also my favorite collectors are people that have been saving their money for 2 or 3 years to have my artwork. So I don't want to come off as somebody that's celeb obsessed. I'm a hardworking artist, and I appreciate anybody that's willing to spend their hard-earned money to have my spirit in their home, period.
I love it. Well, Ash, tell our viewers a little bit about you, what's on your mind, and just a little bit about your background.
Okay. Well, my name is Ashley and I'm an artist. I first found art, I think out of anxiety, when I was 19 years old. I really had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I knew that I didn't want to be in a cubicle. I knew that I didn't want to just go have to marry up and find a man that I had to beg for money to go buy a purse. I knew I didn't want to have to ask my dad for money, but I always kind of felt weird. I always felt different. I don't think I've ever fit into any particular mold that media or Hollywood was putting out there. So I think in my anxiety of trying to figure myself out, one day I went and I picked up some paints and I'm telling you, I found a joy and a bliss that I have never felt before. And all in that moment, I realized it doesn't really matter if I figure out how to make $1 million or if I meet the love of my life, because I found something for the first time that was mine that I knew brought me greater joy than I'd ever felt in my whole life. From that point forward, I tried to figure out how often I could paint. I painted as much as I could. I tried to figure out color. I started copying Picasso paintings to teach myself composition and how to blend color. And one day I just let loose and started painting in my own way. And I've never stopped. I think like anything that anyone finds in their life that brings them great joy, you just want to do it as much as you can. And you want to get better at it. And then, I didn't have any money, obviously. So I found this thing, but when I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my career, and after I realized how much I loved it, and I realized that I was prolific, I put all my paintings up against the wall in my dorm room. And I was like, how can I turn this into money? Because I'm a big believer in the American dream, And I thought, shit, other people have done it. Why can't I? So I just started going out there and hustling. I made a little portfolio. Anywhere I traveled, I would go see galleries. They all told me no. I've been turned down more than a bed in a cheap motel, and I love it because it gets me fired up to get a yes. Through those avenues, I also was able to really find my audience. I was able to figure out my marketing. I was able to figure out who I'm directing this messaging to. And I think in any business, that is super, super important. So that's how this whole little seed got planted, It all sprung from joy and finding just bliss in a moment in this crazy, freaking chaotic world. And I mean, man, that was before social media and all this insanity that we have to juggle through now, which is so confusing and wonderful, but also terrifying.
It's amazing just to intake your energy, Ashley. You feel like art personified. You have so much.
Turning into a cartoon.
It's amazing. It's so beautiful to watch because it feels so authentic to who you are. And I'm interested in that sort of first engagement with art. Did this feel like this was inside of you, or has this developed over time? Were you born this and then it just blossomed into this amazing
I think, and this is just my belief, and I mean, God knows everybody's got their opinion. I think we're all born with something special. And I think it's something that maybe might feel weird in the beginning when we're finding ourselves. And I think if you just embrace that weirdness, maybe that's your superpower. So I'd always loved art. I was never still enough. I don't think my mother ever thought I could be still enough to like put me in painting lessons. I was in gymnastics, ballet, tap, theater, elocution lessons, modeling lessons, manners, like my mother had me in everything, but never in art. But and maybe that's a really good thing because I found it on my own. I found it on my own, and it's been my own thing. And it's something, as an anxious person, it's something that I can completely control, which feels really good. But, I would travel with my family growing up. We would go to Europe and, we would go to New York. And I remember I wanted to go to the Museum of Modern Art. And my mother was like, oh, God, we can't go look at all that contemporary art. We're going to the Met. And I thought, that's great. Like, I don't want to go look at armor. I mean, obviously I love that now, but I was like, I don't want to go look at freaking sarcophaguses and armor and all that old shit all day. I want to go see paintings. So in my early 20s, when I went to New York by myself the first time, I went to the Museum of Modern Art, and I just wept. I just wept.
Ashley, you have so many strengths. I've known you so long, from your art to your confidence to your marketing superpowers, if you could sort of nail down that one superpower that differentiates you as a human being, as a businesswoman, as an artist, what is that superpower?
It is a optimistic internal monologue. So, look, it is tough out there, man. It is freaking tough out there. And if I can't sit here and have a great uplifting conversation with myself when I'm failing, when I'm winning, when I'm ego checking, when I'm, time blocking, figuring out my schedules, planning things, resetting my goals. If I can't sit here and have that, girl, you can do this. You got this. It's okay. If I can't be kind to myself, then I promise you this, there is no future.
So Ashley, are you saying we all, and many successful people, we have an inner critic? Right? That's just that narrative. It's the ego.
I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm constantly evaluating that, especially right now that the world is opening back up. I mean, like a couple of days ago, I was like, oh my God, I put so much pressure on myself. And then, when I put that same pressure on my team, they're like, oh, and it's like when I let that out of my body, it's unreal the amount of pressure I'm putting myself. I'm working on that. And I feel like anybody in business, anybody that has a brand, anybody that's putting themselves out there, obviously, look, we're putting pressure on ourselves to go out there and get it. We're chasing it, right? But I think having that moment, like, girl, I saw something online that was like, you can't continuously grind. It may have been your page. Can't continuously grind. If you keep grinding, you end up with nothing. The whole idea is there's nothing left, so it's like you have to have that balance of, girl, you need to take a nap today. It's Sunday. I don't have to go paint every freaking day. Do I want to? Yes. Does a voice inside of me say, go for it, get it, overperform, show them, you get out there, but it doesn't really do me any good.
So you're saying your inner critic drives you in many ways forward, but you have to manage it on a daily basis in order to self-preserve and give yourself love and to actually sustain what you're doing.
Yes. Otherwise, it's just like, when you were little and you would blow up a balloon and you'd be like, I'm gonna give it one more breath, and it didn't bust, and you're like, shit, I'm gonna give it one more, and then it just wham. I don't want that. I want that tension. I want it to be full. I want it to be exciting. I want it to be uplifting, but I don't want it to burst. So I have to figure out how much breath I'm putting into it.
I love how you articulated your drive as anxiety, because we've had that sort of recurrent theme from each person who's joined us, all different walks of life, but this sense of ambition always felt like tension. And I hear like goosebumps hear you on the anxiety piece, because I was a kid who was locked like this forever. And I know a lot of people who were ambitious and had big dreams and felt that. But that idea of it being a double-edged sword is really interesting. So do you have specifics around how you manage that? Like, when do you know when too far is too far?
I'm learning so much about myself. And I really think the last year with the pandemic really pushed it, it pushed it hard. I think it pushed it on everybody. And we did have an opportunity to self-reflect and really think about what is making me happy in business, what is not, what is serving me and making me feel joy, and what is not. And I think this is an ongoing conversation, because everything is constantly evolving and changing in business, within ourselves, our families, our friendships. People are dying, people are being born, families are changing, this thing is just like, this is wild, man. This is wild what we're dealing with. I think in acknowledging that, and being aware that I am nervous, that I do have fear, that I tend to be overly prolific to deal with those things. it helps me get to what the end solution really, I think what we're all looking for eventually, which is we just want to have a peaceful, joyful life. So this awareness, the need to have to make money, the need to pay bills, the need to save for your future, the need to travel and see the world in the way that you want to, and to be independent. I think there is some anxiety attached to that for sure. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I enjoy it. I like pressure. I do like pressure. But I think as things escalate and more opportunities happen, you really have to evaluate what is the best thing for me right now. At the end of the day, if I'm completely frazzled and I'm so exhausted that I can't enjoy these moments, then what the hell is this all about? And I can relate that to when my career really started to take off. And I had that massive opening at Bergdorf Goodman, and then I'm on a plane to London, and they're unveiling the Gucci mural, and I've got collectors waiting on art, and the phone is ringing off the hook, and I've got 30 people on my team all around me, and I'm trying to paint in the middle of all of this. And collectors come in and they see me, and then I shut the door, and then they write online like, "Oh my God, I've loved you for so long." And then I see you and you shut the door in my face, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I'm trying to work, and please come to an art show. And I want to be there for everybody. I want everybody to be happy." But like, you just kind of realize, shit, man, who's not happy right now? I'm not happy. I'm frazzled. I'm worn out. I'm exhausted. My team is asking me a question every 5 seconds. The phone, and do I love all that? Did I manifest that? You damn right I did. I created that. But now I can kind of step back and go, okay, how can I reshuffle this around? And we always have the ability to do that. We create all this. Look, if I was a chef, I could make the biggest disaster in that kitchen you've ever seen in your life. But then I could bring you the most beautiful plate. Or I could figure out how to clean up as I go along and bring you that plate, and the kitchen's cleaned up after dinner. I don't have to really do anything but press go on the dishwasher. And I'm just trying to get that way. I feel like too, like we put so much pressure on ourselves for everything to go from like planting the seed to picking apples the next day. And, there's like a puberty period of having a business, and sometimes when your business is young and you're trying to figure things out and that opportunity that you've always wanted is happening, it's mayhem, man. It's just like going through puberty. You're like, you feel weird. You've got acne. Things are happening. Oh my God. And then you just kind of go, whoo, all right, how am I going to get to be a mature, beautiful, balanced adult company that's like, got their shit together? That shit just takes a minute, man. It just takes a minute.
Ash, you talk about ultimately we want a peaceful, joyful life, which is so, I love hearing you in that space.
Yeah.
What do you think is the recipe for that? For ambitious people like our viewers who are tuning in, it's like, what do you think is that recipe for that rhythm of that joyful, peaceful life when you are as driven as we are?
I mean, I ain't no guru. You know what I mean? I wish I was, and actually I need one. But I think it really does start with that little inner monologue of thought. When you start to have fear and you start to have doubt and you have all this anxiety, it really does begin, in the soil. Your soil is what really shows. Your fruit is an element of the soil. So, if I love metaphors, by the way, if you can't tell, I feel like that thought, this is my foundation up here. So, I mean, I want that. I want peace. I want joy. I want to see productivity and beauty and happiness and balance. And I think that all starts within ourselves. I mean, easier said than done for sure. But I think we just have to be kind to ourselves, really. And that's not about being an egomaniac or thinking everything's awesome or, that your shit doesn't stink or anything like that. It's just a matter of being like, okay, today's freaking chaos. But even the worst day only has 24 hours, go to sleep, wake up, let's go, let's roll, let's go, don't give up. You can't give up. You keep going, right?
I love how you're expressing that, because I think, Ashley, for so many young artists, they get their first no, or their parents say like, be a lawyer, don't do that. And the, your little flower just dies and doesn't continue to bloom. So do you always have that resilience and sense of like, this is my path, period? Did your family help foster that in you? Like, how did you navigate the path from going from, hey, I love this, to I'm a massive success now in this?
Well, my father is, Ashley knows my dad. He is such a dynamic, incredible human being. My biggest supporter for sure. Now he is. But I think and I'm not a parent, but I think, when I was in college and I decided to be an artist and was like, screw the system, screw getting married to some rich guy, screw it all, I'm going to do this my own way. He's terrified about that. And also thinking, my God, you went to college for English literature. You've never even had an art lesson. What is this? You're painting these nudes. Oh my God. I think he had fear too. Maybe in the same way that I have with my own company, with me being his daughter, but he, what he did? He cut my ass off. He said, let me tell you something. You're done with college. I have helped you. The best gift I can give you is for you to stand on your own 2 feet and go out there and figure this out. And no matter who you marry or what you do, you will always be able to stand on your own 2 feet. So he gave me that gift, and man, I had to figure it out. Thank God he gave me that gift. And, we have so much fun now. He comes to all these events, and Diane was hollering at him when we were doing a speech together. And I was like, there's my father. He's over there. He's the biggest feminist in the room. And Diane was like, oh, your father's very handsome. And my stepmother's like, he's taken. And the whole crowd was laughing. And my dad's like, like, I created her. This is all about me. And I that talk about bringing me joy. I could have an art show and make a freaking $1 million that night, but my greatest moment was that.
So Ash, I want to talk about authenticity, because for many of us, it's hard to be your complete self or bring your complete self to work, especially in a corporate environment. So I remember I have this quote of yours. I remember you saying, which is, I'm brave enough to be who I am in a society where there's a lot of pressure to be perfect. I can only be me, and I encourage you to only be you.
Yeah.
Talk to us about authenticity and what it takes and why it's so important to show up as the most authentic version of yourself in a society that often tells you how to show up and how to act and how to dress and all of that.
Well, listen, this is like what I'm talking about. That little inner voice that says like, you can do this. You got this. I wear a necklace that says I would fuck me. Okay. I wake up in the morning and I tell myself all the reasons why I can do something. I don't think about why I don't look like Giselle. I don't think about, why my paintings don't sell for $15 million like Jeff Koons. I don't compare myself to anyone else. They are so right when they say that is the thief of joy. You cannot compare yourself to anybody else because you are an incredible, unique, authentic, amazing individual, exactly as you are. And if you embrace that and love that, let me tell you something, honey, when you step out of an SUV in New York City and you walk into a big conference room and there's 15 executives sitting there and I got to turn it up and be me, baby, I woke up like that. You know what I mean? I'm ready because I believe in me. I don't have to be anybody else. I can only be me. I was raised in the South too. I was raised, don't ever, always cross your ankles. Don't use profanity. I'm sitting here wide-legged right now and I could unleash a string of expletives on you that would blow your mind. But I'm going to keep it professional right now because I've got the ability to do that. But look, I can only be me, and I think right now more than ever with digital media and all this stuff, it's like we don't know everything about everybody. we're seeing people get divided into all these groups and like, you have to be this way and you have to be that way and you have to think this way and you have to think that way. We just have to like be full of like love, understanding, ready to learn, go out there and be kind of like, you know, an open vessel every day to what the world is going to bring us, and work hard, be ambitious, and just try to do right, man. You know, it's tough out there. It's tough.
And what do you tell the kids who are maybe struggling with that moment of, they kind of feel like Bambi? I have this person inside of me. I'm starting to step and be that, but maybe the world around me is telling me not to do that. Maybe my family's telling me not to. Like, what's your message to them?
Stay away from assholes. Stay away from anybody that you think is talking shit behind your back. Surround yourself with a very stone cold, badass group of individuals that love you and protect you and lift you up. Do not hang out with people that gossip. Stay off of your phone. Compartmentalize your time. Keep you're like a racehorse with blinders on. You know what I mean? And you can't give up. You absolutely, if you give up, you're only giving up on yourself. And damn it, this is not easy. And I think that's where shit gets twisted. This is not easy. Going from college, and I can't even imagine now because the world is even more insane than it was when I did this. Going from college and then getting into your 30s, your 20s are just like this incredible moment to really find out who you are, to find out what you love, to find out where that joy is. You know, unless you went to school to be like a doctor or a lawyer and you knew early. This is not traditionally the period of time when things are raining down on you and money is raining in from the heavens and that you're flying around first class. You know what I mean? This is such a sweet time to get to know yourself. And I have artists that come up to me at shows and they're like, oh my God, I want to be like you. I want to have these collaborations. And I'm like, well, tell me what you do now. And they're like, well, I mean, you know, like I'm painting in my apartment. And I'm like, do you know how amazing it is that all of your time can go directly into your artwork? This is so important. You're growing right now. That's when you get to have that inner monologue of, I can do this. I mean, in my 20s, I would send 5 emails. If I got one person, 5, I would send 50. If I got one person that responded to me, I would be like, yes. And let me tell you something. I celebrated that moment like, damn it, that's right. I'm successful. I got this. Somebody emailed me back. The same way I celebrate right now when I sell a painting to somebody that I have to call Her Excellency. You know, it's those little bitty things that you just go, I can do this. Hell yes. You know, you prove it to yourself.
Ash, it's just so, I love how proactive you are with your internal narrative. It's brilliant. Like, to me, this is absolutely your superpower, is you're so in charge of your mind. And
you don't think me sitting around talking to myself all day makes me a crazy person?
You are your best friend. You are your biggest cheerleader. You are your inner critic, and you have it all so tightly managed. But what I love about you, just because I know you so well, is you're also not afraid to feel the pain and the downtimes in your life. You experience those. You're expressive. Oh my God. You are open. You are so in charge of yourself, but you let yourself be vulnerable and experience pain.
I mean, not as much as I should, Ashley. I'm working on it. This is hard, man. It's hard.
For our viewers, because I think when we follow successful people on social media, everything looks so linear. Everything looks so perfect. And it's almost like you were just born with it, right? And you were born to be successful. Can you please be open and vulnerable with our viewers about maybe a setback or an obstacle, whether it was early on your career or later on in your development, and how you experienced that pain and that challenge, but then how you actually came out on top and really used it as a learning experience?
Yeah, I mean, look, I know I've been talking a lot about optimism and that sort of yes mentality. Yes, 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 you can do this. You got this. But I think as you grow in your business and you grow in your own skin, you get to a certain point where no also becomes a power word. for example, when a collector would come in my studio, who I knew very well, had plenty of money, and they were undervaluing me. They didn't want to pay me what my art was worth. It's very simple. No, I'm sorry. I can't sell that to you at that price. No, I'm sorry. And I think you get to a certain point. I mean, look, there's all these stages of fear when you're just trying to make it. You want to be able to pay your rent. You want to be able to buy groceries. You got to get insurance. You need a freaking car. Okay. Like, success is so different for each person. I could tell you at one point, success for me was when I had $5,000 in the bank account. I could not believe that I had $5,000 in my bank account. I was like, I never want to not have $5,000 in my bank account. I can pay my rent. I'm doing good. I can go buy my canvases. I felt success. People ask me, what was it like when you finally felt successful? I'm like, I felt successful because I celebrate all those like little bitty achievements, like it's all of that. But once you're able to pay your rent, once you're able to get to a point where you can honestly say to somebody, no, that doesn't work for me. Or I've had lots of different companies that approached me about doing collaborations, and they were jacking me around on price. They were like, oh, well, we're going to do this for you. You can do this for exposure. It's great exposure. And I'm like, well, are you doing it for exposure? No, you want to use my art to create a product. You're going to sell that product. You're going to manufacture it at $9 a pop and then sell it for $80 a pop. And you're going to make 99,000 of them. But you're telling me there's not 15% in that for me. I'm sorry, but I don't do math like that. When you say no to it, it just builds up that armor. It builds up that. It's hard to do that sometimes in the beginning because you do have fear, like, shit, I could, like, let's say a painting was $1,000 and they were offering me $450. Oh my God, God, well, what if I never sell another painting again? What if that was the last $450 I was ever going to make? God, I remember when all I needed was $450 to pay my rent. What did I just do? Should I have done that? Maybe I shouldn't have done that. And then you're like, hell yes, I should have done that. You know what? You get in there, send an email, launch that painting off to other people, sell it at full price, and head on down the highway. No is a power word. So is yes. You can't be afraid to use it. And don't let people jack you around. You can always say no.
I love that so much. Can you talk to us too about your creative process? Like, you have such a distinct message with so much of the work that you create. Does that come from you and sort of bubbles up, or are you making observations of the world around you? Like, what is that process? And then how do you get to that point where you're like, this is done, this is it?
Oh, I mean, when I have an idea, I keep most of my ideas in my phone because I have them. I'll be like riding in the car and I'm like, oh shit, and then I'll have one big idea, and then I'll create a whole series off of that. I'll just get like, and I'll just start juicing myself up, and I'll be like, let's go, and I'll put 2 canvases up together, and I'm like, well, I paid 1, but I can pay 2, like, I'm just going to rock this, because I get so high off of just, productivity. And like at the end of a week, when I can sit back and be like, man, I did 9 paintings this week. I can see my time. This is amazing. This feels so good. It's such a great high. That's such a great high, by the way. I forgot what I was talking about. I got so excited about the high. Oh, my creative process. Yeah. So, I'll have that idea. I'll rock and roll I always know when something is done. I also don't dwell on imperfections in my artwork. It's not my style. I like to paint really fast. I like to paint wildly. So if a circle isn't perfect, I don't go, oh no, I have to fix that. That's not a perfect circle. I think that I don't worry about that in my artwork the same way I don't worry about that. Like, oh my God, I'm not a size 4. Oh my God, I've got gray hair right now and I've got to do a podcast. Oh no, I can't do the podcast. I've got gray hair. They're just some things that I don't worry about. But then there's also moments when I'm like, I don't have an idea. what am I going to paint? So I started painting things in repetition. Sorry, that's my buttercup. She gets fired up when I'm on a Zoom. So I started painting things in repetition, you know.
Let her go. That's fine.
Emma, can you give her a Vegedent? So like with a lot of my series, you know, just because I don't have a big, fresh, new idea doesn't mean that I can't be creative. It doesn't mean that I can't paint. So I figured that out very early in my career because I'd get really sad when I didn't have a new idea. And I'd be like, damn, I'm never going to have another idea again. It's over. And that fear and that self-doubt creeps in. But then it's like, well, what am I doing? I love that painting that I did. Why don't I just switch that up a little bit? I love that. Why don't I work with some different color palettes? I'll just keep painting. And then it always works itself out. That takes time to understand that though too. It takes time to understand.
Speaking of your art, Ashley, if you could pick out of all the thousands of pieces of art you've ever created, what is your number one favorite piece of art you've created? And who's your favorite artist other than yourself?
Who's your favorite child, Ashley? I can't tell you that. They're all my babies. I love them so much. And you're going to ask me who my favorite artist is. I'm a huge art collector.
Huge.
So I don't know if you can see, like, these are just some of my paintings. This is actually a nude woman by Bradley Hart. Anna Jensen, Nora Martin, Amanda Greaves, Ronald Jackson, Big Chief Damon Melanson, Marcus Ackerson, Tiffany Turner, Damian Eels. I mean, I get high off of also buying art and keeping my art money in the art world. So I'll sell a big painting and then I'll buy a painting. And my goal is to have a huge public space where when I'm long and dead, people can come and see all of the artwork and sculpture that I collected that reflects, time. This is what I love about art is that the way that we look at history, the way we can examine our own lives and how we've changed and evolved is we go to the Metropolitan and we see armor and we see all these Egyptian relics and we see artifacts, we see art that people made, and it defines the time that they live in. So I place a lot of importance in curating my space and having art around me and having things that inspire me. And by the way, I'm in a position to do that now more than ever. But when I first got started, I would go to like little museum shops and I would buy a set of little cocktail napkins because I couldn't afford paint. Or I couldn't afford big, paintings. And so it started with little things like that I would curate in my life that would bring me joy and artfulness around me. So I can't tell you my favorite painting, Ashley, and I can't tell you my favorite artist because I love all of them. I love anybody brave enough to put themselves out there. I think that takes a lot of balls and a lot of labia.
I feel like you have a couple of amazing like secret strengths that I don't even know if you understand how clearly you're articulating them and inspiring people around you, but your departure from perfectionism and the way that you describe it, like, this is who I am.
My mom put a lot of pressure on me to be perfect. And I was far from it. The first time I got in trouble for cussing was when I was 5 years old in the first grade. She was mortified.
Wow. I mean, that's resonating with me so much. I can't tell you. And I feel like as a woman, as an ambitious woman, perfect feels really good. But as you described earlier, it is a recipe for unhappiness for your entire life. You have a benchmark that you can never live up to. So was that a conscious decision of yours? Or was that something that as you were just so out there and there's all these jet streams and people looking at your stuff and critics and supporters and all the above, did you just say like, forget it, this is who I am?
I honestly think my mother put so much pressure on me that I had to find a place within myself to go, I love me some me, and I know I'm going to get through freaking junior high school and high school, and I'm going to be okay. Because, I wasn't this perfect little Southern debutante Barbie doll trophy wife in the making that I think that she had thought would be ideal to have a daughter. So, I just kind of had to let go of all that.
What's a day in the life of you these days? Like, I know you have your farm, you have your magazine street gallery. Help us to understand. You wake up at what time? What happens next? Give us the scoop.
I wake up at 6, and I know you're not supposed to do this, but I do have my phone by my bed, and I know I'm not supposed to, but I do have it, and I'll tell you why. Because I wake up for a second, I love on my dogs, all right, and then my sweet pea brings me a coffee. I have a latte, and then I like to do a little morning marketing. My head is clear. I like to go through my paintings. What am I working on? I'm also doing another creative project right now. So I've been doing some writing for that. So my mornings are kind of sacred for that. I think everybody feels that way before everything's all mayhem and wild. So I do that. I try to slam down a green juice. Then I've been painting at my farm mostly because I love it out here and I don't have a million people going, can I ask you a question? 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 I walk through my garden every morning and I look to see where these little tree frogs are. I look at my wildflowers. I look at my beehive. I really like to incorporate nature into my balance. Mm-hmm. And I went to college in Montana, and I think, thank God I did, because I found such a joy in nature. Also, you don't need any money to enjoy nature. You know, you just go outside and you look for little miracles and magic. And I've got a butterfly cage. I've been hatching these different cocoons and monarchs and feeding them milk thistle. And when the cocoons are there, I'll wake up and the first thing I do is get out of bed to go check on my butterflies, you know, and I love that. I love that joy and the constant refreshment that nature shows us. You know, there's always a spring after a winter. Metaphors, you know, like it's all going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. So I start my day off that way, and then I go get in my studio and I just start hitting it hard. Get on the phone with my COO, find out what the hell is going on. What does she need from me? You know, and then we get our schedules down, and thank God now, you know, the world is opening back up. We've got art shows we're planning. I'm going to be in Beverly Hills. I'm the official artist in residence at the Peninsula. That starts in June. I'm going to be painting there. I just can't wait to be around people again. So what I'm really having to do right now is compartmentalize my time and be really smart about my balance between traveling, painting, meetings, you know, all that stuff, you know?
That's, I think how many people are feeling. It's like we're going back into the world in a way where you're sort of going, how do I design this in a way that maybe doesn't look like it used to look?
Yeah, a lot of people are languishing right now too, but because of that, because there hasn't been, it's just kind of been like, oop, everything's off. Everybody stay inside. Oh my God, everybody's going to die. This is terrible. Oh my God, there's a pandemic. And now it's like, boop, you got your vaccine. Okay, now everybody can go do everything again. What's up? And it's like, we've all been through this, oh my God, like terrified of our lives, of our health, for our families, for our friends. We've been separated, our businesses, watching people suffer. It's been like, and all of a sudden we're just supposed to be like, oh my God, we're back at parties on Instagram. Like it's crazy nutballs.
It's such a weird thing that we've all lived through. Like it's like wartime stuff.
Can you please? She's driving me nuts. Sorry. Real life stuff here, guys.
That's the purpose of this. But you always seem to have a message. Like you have a message for the world and you want to express it, and you express it through your work. What's your message for the world right now?
You can do anything you want to do. You can't give up on yourself. You have to have a strong inner voice. The world needs you. The world needs you, you know. Don't read the comments. You know, don't troll people on social media. Have a good intentions. Work hard. Look for joy. Surround yourself with good people. You know, we all need each other. We all need each other desperately.
Ashley, we always end our podcast with this one question for all of our guests, and that is, what is possible?
Oh, everything, anything. I mean, my God, look at the incredible things that human beings have accomplished. I mean, all the way from like designing a ship that could sail across the ocean and prove that the earth isn't flat to, building cars that run off of electricity, airplanes, the internet, science, the most beautiful pieces of art you've ever seen in your life. The possibilities are endless if you tap into your authentic self. If you really explore that little inner monologue and that inner voice that is and will point you in the right direction if you listen to it. That those urges and those things that if you listen to them, that's your little arrow pointing you to where you need to go. And I just think that if you listen to that, you can do anything that you've ever dreamed. I really, really believe that. I believe that people are good. I believe that life is awesome. I believe in endless possibilities.
Well, Ashley, this was so amazing having you on. You are such an inspiration for so many of us around the world. And we just feel so grateful to be in your presence, to have you on the Impossible podcast. And best of luck with all of your exciting things coming up. We just can't wait to see you continue to soar.
Thank you guys so much for this opportunity. I love you all, and I'm so excited for the opportunity. Thank you.